Go public on YouTube. And we're live on YouTube too. All right, cool. Word, got a double stream that, you know, maximize my reach. So I'm drawing characters. I'm drawing characters in this world. They're all at a concert for Sunday and Monday's older sister. And I'm on row. What row am I on now? Row 6, I think. Row 6. Green. So basically, I'm taking suggestions from the audience here to help me come up with ideas for basically like props for what kind of characters are in the audience. I think I'm drawing at 0.3. Hey, 30 stream streak. Hey, okay, Titus, what's going on, man? Got your skateboard guy from last time, sort of. Is this the same size? Does it? Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So put the Kaiba designs in there? Like Kaiba characters? What's up, Pro JP? All right. Just gonna go for some outfits. Hey Sue, what's up? I don't really remember what the Kaiba characters look. Well, I kind of do, but I would have to look at reference. I don't want to put too many pop culture Easter eggs. In there. Just to avoid cross-contamination. Let's see. But give me a prompt for a type of character, and then I can try to do my best. Draw man, happy to see everyone. All right. Jimmy the Pigeon Whisperer. Okay. Okay. What the hell? Oops. Lizard person with a bucket hat. Alright. Gotta try to remember all these. Person that's happy to see everyone. It's weird. Why did I do that? Person that's happy to see everyone. Got like 2 sets of eyes. Oops. What's up, Stefan? Someone's gonna have to keep track of all these suggestions because I'm gonna. This guy's got a frilly clown costume. And maybe he's got like a clown wig. Something like that. Jesus Christ. If you guys know me, you know I don't like the blues. Lizard person with a bucket hat. All right. Vince the Thief. All floating. Can you draw an embryo guy dressed as Elvis, aka Embryo Elvis? All floating and curled up and drippy and shit. I already drew an embryo guy. Embryo guy is right. Where is embryo guy? I don't know if you can see this, but there's an embryo inside a little compartment there. Well, that's not to say I could draw another embryo, I guess. So with body augmentation, is there like a scale from dirt cheap poor people because people bodies to fuck off luxury ones, or is that a post scarcity free or where everyone can be anything? I think that there probably is some sort of like a lower class get worse body modifications kind of situation, maybe. We're drawing these people's feet, even though we're never going to see their feet. But you know what? It's okay. All right, so we got Vince the Thief. All right. Let's see. Make him a typical masked bandit. God, what kind of eyes did I just draw? Let's see, Vince the Thief. Does streaming take anything out of you? A little bit. Yeah, sometimes. But I actually sometimes I'm like, if I'm feeling low energy and feel like I'm not going to be able to do my work, or sometimes streaming helps me stay awake. Because I just had like a really fucking stressful day at work, and I could just like chill on my couch and play Crimson Desert, but instead I can finish this background if I am held accountable by the people that watch this stream. Looks like I'm starting to draw people a little bit bigger. I don't know what's going on here. Let me see. We'll finish the one pop culture reference in here. I only agreed to draw Surge because there's like an ongoing new metal conversation on this stream sometimes. Isn't there a Ramones guy in the one of the front rows? Not on purpose, if there is. Ramones guy? That guy? He kind of looks like the drummer from the Ramones a little bit. Look how it's much smaller these guys' legs got. I love that. Let me resize some of these guys. Give this guy some big old feet. Sort of looks like Orgalorg. Yeah, a little bit. Ooh. I think Orgalorg was designed by Andy Rustino. How's it been going? How's the day been? I had a pretty... I don't know, man. Fuck. Pretty... I don't know. Artistically rough day today. Have I put Manly in the crowd yet? Yes, I did put Manly in the crowd. Somewhere. Manly's in the crowd. Over... There's Manly. Oops. See Manly right there? This is row 5. Did I not draw row 5? That's weird. Row 3. Row 4. I'm going to skip to row 6. So I'm going to call this row 6. I'm going to call this row 5. Okay. Alright, I think I own the rights to Manly again. I keep saying that, but I haven't looked into it. Alright, I'm not enjoying this album. Alright, let's try David Cosmo, Time Traveler, 1991. You think you guys would ever do something else with Manly if you could? I don't know. Maybe I could put Manly in the Jesus 2 universe somehow. Can I put someone having a bad time in the crowd? Do you have any... Yeah, I can make someone having... Maybe have someone having a bad trip or something. Do you have any religious or spiritual beliefs? Are you psyched? Are you psyched user? I don't know if my YouTube comments are going to my feed. Do I have spiritual beliefs? Yeah, I do. I would say I lean... I kind of pick and choose from... I would say I pick and choose from lots of books I've read over the years. Things that sort of make sense to me or start to make me be able to put the pieces together about what I think about the world we're living in. But I don't have any like particular specific... I have things I like to check out and be interested in, and I've tried different things and spiritual practices in my life, and but I've never settled on any one thing. These days I kind of probably lean a bit Gnostic over the past 10 years maybe. But it's a pretty dark belief system, so I'm not, you know, I'd like to be able to like not settle there. Uvo Us Votes Online, US Votes Online 9078. Spirituality by means of personal utility is the way to go. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I operate. Gnosticism is very cool, however, I don't agree the material world and immaterial world are entirely separate. I agree with that also. Yeah, I don't totally line up with everything in the Gnostic oeuvre. But it is fun to read about. Yeah, I kind of just do things that work for me, you know, and I try to see the world in ways that work for me. Psychedelic word. Someone, let me see if you're popping up. Yeah, you are popping up there. Word. So much good stuff out there to pick from. Psychedelics. I had a time period where I did try some psychedelics, and I pretty much have decided that psychedelics are not good for me, and I don't do them anymore. And I think that there's way too much of a casual conversation around psychedelics these days that people don't take the risks seriously. Especially for a Western mindset. I feel like psychedelics should be approached with way more caution and should probably be only administered in the controlled environment with a professional. Really depends on what you mean by professional. I don't think Western psychology should fuck with psychedelics personally. I think that the like therapeutic ketamine stuff I think is really, I'm not into it. I think it's pretty dangerous, and I think that people shouldn't fuck with it. I've had some good experiences with mushrooms. I have friends who've lost their minds on psychedelics and were never the same. And I think I came close to losing my mind on psychedelics, and I had to sort of like work my way through it through therapy for like 10 years. So I do not have the same sort of like drug warrior kind of thing that some other people do. I think it's like different strokes for different folks, but you never know what stroke you're you know what I mean? You really don't know like what you're in for until you try it, and then it might be too late. Lost their mind from a single trip or from many trips. Yeah. Actually, a friend of mine basically mostly I would say lost his mind because of weed. Weed like activated his schizophrenia over time. So when people say weed is harmless, I actually don't agree, and I've seen firsthand marijuana take out a friend of mine. Most people are fine, but you know, I don't know. If you've got like latent schizophrenia, kind of like if you have that, I don't know what that is or like how you would even know that you have some sort of tendency to break, you know, if you take the wrong drug, but yeah. Normal anxiety beat, so anything I'll do. Some people are totally fine. You know what I mean? It's like a crapshoot. It's like, I would say with weed, most people are completely fine smoking weed. You know, it's any drug, any sort of like, it's just like opening up some aspect of you that is already there, you know? And the way, at least in like Western society, the way that we perceive breaking open your head and the way you're treated by others and stuff affects the way you see yourself, and all this kind of stuff can lead to really, really bad results. Yeah, like I don't think weed should be illegal or anything. You know, I've smoked weed here and there, and it's fine. And I drink alcohol sometimes. Yeah. But the last time I took LSD, I microdosed LSD maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and the come down from that was like one of the worst feelings I've ever had for about 2 weeks. Just devastating. Yeah. So, you know, whenever someone's like, oh, like blah blah blah, like ketamine treatment should be legal and blah blah blah, and it's good for everybody as long as you're in control, and I'm like, you're like lying. You know, I know that. I'm not. But you know, any drug can be bad for you. I mean, if you take too much Advil, you can die. You know, so. I just say be careful out there. And I think the most like powerful psychedelic experiences I've had have been through meditation anyway. Just like raw dogging my own brain. I think what happened was after I microdosed LSD, I had a great night. That night was amazing. Like the night itself that I was high or tripping or whatever was like, I felt like a child again, and I was like experiencing like pure joy. And then for the next 2 weeks, I've never been more depressed in my life. Like absolutely like bottomed out chemical dump. Like zero serotonin in my body. Fucking like total depression, annihilation. It was so bad. That I was like, I remember being at a friend of mine's birthday party, and I was just sitting there being like, holy fuck, I'm so fucked up. And I remember my friend Arun was there, and he's like, how's it going, man? I'm like, dude, I'm not okay. Like, that's the only way I could describe it. And I was like, and I don't know if I'm gonna ever come back, like recover from this. This is so fucked. And luckily it just like kind of gradually my body chemistry like rebalanced after about 2 weeks. Dude, I did not have, I had the opposite of afterglow. I had like an apocalyptic chemical dump. Yeah. So after that, I was like, never again. I cannot fuck with that shit ever again. Places to check out in LA. You could go to the Philosophical Research Society. I like that place. That's a cool occult library. You could go to see if you could catch a show at the Bob Baker Marionette Theater, but it's usually sold out. That's in Highland Park. You could go to the Hollywood sign. Go on a hike to the Hollywood sign. You could go to Museum of Jurassic Technology is really great. One of my favorite museums in LA. You could go to the Getty, great museum. You could go to the Santa Monica Pier, because why not? It's kind of fun if you've never been there. You could go to the Comedy Store and catch a comedy show, stand-up comedy show at night. I've gone a few times. It's pretty fun. You could go to LACMA is also a good museum. You could go to, try to think of something a little bit more low-key, less touristy. Definitely the Museum of Jurassic Technology if it's open. They might be closed on Tuesdays, but good places to eat. What's a good place to eat? I mean, there's tons of taco trucks everywhere that are really good. If you're in the Echo Park area, check out Taco Zone, which is a truck that appears, I think, after like 8 o'clock at night. I don't know what part of town you're going to be on. Hey, common brown bird. Alright, I gotta keep drawing. Let's see. Oh yeah, guy, let's draw a guy having a bad time. He took the brown acid. What's the comedy store? What's the comedy store like? It's just a comedy club, you know. It's got like 3 rooms, I think. You can buy tickets online, and you just see a lineup of like 10 comedians doing 10-minute sets, and you never know what you're gonna get really. But the times I've gone have been really fun. I've seen some good comedians. I have a bag of LSD I haven't tried, but meditate fairly regularly and would rather reach that state through self-accusation before just Mario powering through it. I don't know, yeah, I think meditation is like a way to achieve altered consciousness. Or higher states of consciousness. And there's different styles of meditation you can try. But, you know, people go crazy doing Kundalini meditation too, you know what I mean? So, the last time I was meditating, I've talked about this before, the last time I was meditating, I was doing a Kundalini breathwork meditation, and it gave me a really heavy psychedelic experience. That kind of freaked me out, but it was really cool, and I didn't have any negative side effects afterwards. I just kind of stopped doing it because I was like, oh, I think I just got close to the edge. What started my interest in spirituality? I grew up in a really spiritual household, so I just was exposed to it since I was a kid. First comedy show was recent at the Velveeta, and it was a fight or flight experience. 10 out of 10 would only recommend to comedy sickos. Nice. Yeah, visuals, yeah, totally had an out-of-body experience. Where I transformed into a caterpillar. And I was in hatching out of a golden egg. It was extremely vivid. And I was like watching myself from the outside at the same time. It's crazy. And that was from meditating. Who's my favorite comedian? I think the best comedian in the world right now is probably Shane Gillis. As far as like jokes go. There's a comedian I follow on YouTube called named Fahim Anwar. I really like his, like, he posts stuff where he's just like working on jokes and stuff, and I find his videos very funny. Yeah, David Lynch was big into transcendental meditation also. I visited a transcendental meditation guy one time to see if I wanted to get into doing transcendental meditation. This was when I was much younger, and this is when I was really into the idea of like levitating and stuff, and I thought maybe I could achieve levitation through transcendental meditation. And the guy I went to visit showed me a video about how transcendental meditation would help me be better at business, and I just left. He like showed me put on a video for me to watch about why I should get into transcendental meditation. So that kind of turned me off. Yeah, there's a little bit of a, what do you call it, a pyramid scheme kind of thing with transcendental meditation. Yeah, for a while I was doing a little bit of like holotropic breath work and Kundalini style meditation stuff, but I haven't done any meditating in a while. I went to like a scrying workshop like a couple months ago, and I have a whole scrying set up in my bedroom, but I haven't done it. Just see if I could get in touch with the demons. Just another way of like risking shit for myself, being risky in my spiritual life or something. Oh, you can get a mantra for free now. Yeah, I've had friends throughout my life who've been super into transcendental meditation, and it's helped them a lot. So I think it's worth checking out and trying and seeing if it works for you, and then if not, you can try other forms of it. Forms of meditation. There's so many different styles. All right, so this guy, maybe he's got some drool coming out of his mouth here. This guy's white knuckling it. Yeah, Stanislav Grof. I was into Stanislav Grof for a while. Basically, you just like wrap yourself in a blanket and hyperventilate until you start crying. In the fall, I'm going to Costa Rica with my father to participate in a shamanic ayahuasca ritual, and I want to see what the tarot has to say about that. Okay. Let's consult the tarot. Where are my controls at? Alright, you tell me when to stop. Meditate on your situation. The Emperor. Interesting. The Emperor represents stability, control, exerting one's like power, the Emperor can sort of like imply stubbornness. It can also imply aspects of an older world, more traditional world. I'm curious about what the Emperor is looking at. I'm gonna pull another card for you, so tell me when. The Hermit. Can I ask how old you are? Stefan? "32. And how old's your dad? Your dad's 26? Oh, Stefan's 26. Yeah, how old's your dad? Ashishka Pere threw me off. Dad's 66. And what prompted you guys to decide to go do this thing together? Probably gonna take a while for Stefan to respond. Do I think I'll ever release my Terra deck again? I don't think so. I don't think there's enough of a demand for it to justify doing another run of, you know, 1,000 decks. Unless I end up finishing, if I finish the Minor Arcana, maybe there'd be a reason for me to do it, but I haven't started on trying to finish the Minor Arcana, and it would probably take me years. So yeah, I don't think I would, unless it just costs too much money to print. If I print less than 1,000, it's just like the cost is like too high. I just don't think there's 1,000 people out there to buy my deck. And my dad's always been a big Ram Dass head and meditation type guy. He offered to take me. Alright, I'm gonna pull one more card. Because I feel like the Emperor was looking at the Hermit, and now the Hermit's looking down into the valley, and I want to see what the Hermit's looking at. So tell me when one more time. I think it's good that your dad's going with you, though. The Fool. Okay. I think this is a good omen. The light of experience is shining onto the Fool, and it's like a full circle. The light from the lantern of the Hermit you can see is shining on the back of the head of the Fool as he like enters into his unknown adventure. You got the Emperor, who's the established father figure, reflecting on this idea of like what do you call it? interior, his interior out, like rather than the exterior, like castle that the emperor has built for himself, whatever that might be at this point in time from your father. So your father represents the emperor, the hermit represents your father's inner world, and definitely there's like a protective sort of like aspect to it, which will, I think, help you on the like with the experience. Yeah, I think you're good. I think you're good. I can't tell the future, but it seems like a good, at least like, scenario to go into that situation and experience something as like radical as, an ayahuasca ceremony. So I think it's a good, pretty decent setup. I would say the Fool is important archetype when engaging in like heavy psychedelic journeying like that. No attachments, or as little attachments as possible, and as little expectation as possible for yeah, what I learned from my ayahuasca trip is that like being results driven is not a good idea. For me, at least in my experience. So I might be slightly biased in how I talk about these kinds of things, but go in without expectations. Good luck. You can probably add a fangirl with merch somewhere. Oh yeah, fangirl with merch. Yeah, all right. I forgot about merch. What style of music does Friday perform? I haven't totally decided on this. I think about it sometimes because I'm like, what would music in the future sound like? And I was thinking that like in the future there were like many hundreds of years where art completely, almost like art disappeared, especially music disappeared from the culture. And like you have movies like Rock and Rule that are sort of futuristic movies about music. I don't know if you've ever seen Rock and Rule, but they always just movies like Rock and Roll, just even though they take place in the future, they're using contemporary music. So at that time it was in the 80s, so they had Debbie Harry doing music and stuff. And that doesn't make sense, even though I like Rock and Roll. So yeah, I've kind of wondered about this, like, I don't know how to handle it yet. That's sort of maybe why I haven't even really explored Friday as a character so much yet, because I'm still trying to figure out how to approach it. This looks like she's holding up a little baby, but I don't know. Why no art? I just think like maybe that gets to a point in the future where people stop making art, and then art has to be like rediscovered. I mean, it's sort of like a future that is like one option for the future that's starting to present itself. Oh my god, what am I drawing here? Just got a little doll. Friday doll. I can hang out on the Twitch call. Yeah, I can jump on the Twitch chat. Twitch chat. Boink. I should put that. I forgot to put the. Let's see, where is it? Call in. Hey, join Discord, Twitch chat to call in. We'll put up Peter. Boink. Ice Cream Bros? Someone just told me to draw two twins. Two chunky twins, so I drew two Ice Cream Bros. They don't have a backstory, I just made them up for this background. Hello? You there, kiddo?
Do you hear any echo or anything?
Yeah, there you are. Hello. What's going on?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just doing a final project on birds.
On birds?
Yeah.
What kind of birds?
Um, just birds I see while like walking around in college, like sparrows and I think I've seen a few crows and just yeah, just birds in general. It's
Crows?
a yeah, huh?
Nice, nice.
Yeah, sparrows.
Sparrows?
Um, because it could be a video on anything.
Yeah,
But since I don't have like friends, I wasn't gonna like do a script or anything.
yeah.
It's not a it's just a regular video production class, so
Okay.
I wasn't gonna do any like animation either.
When I was in film school, I had a hard time getting people to help me on projects. Um, I had like two friends in my film school who I thought I could maybe hit up to help me with uh shooting videos and stuff.
Mhm.
So I know the feeling.
Yeah, no, it's weird because like you know I'm a very good-looking guy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it should be easy for a guy like me, but um,
Well, sometimes people are intimidated by looking good looking guys, you know?
yeah, I've really found that to be true.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's because I'm like John all day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but also, yeah, I mean, I guess I should make friends, but this particular thing,
Yeah.
the bird thing, I want to do a documentary on birds because like I see them just a lot of dead birds around on my campus,
Hmm.
and like people just walk by them and like I know some people, like my friends and I, whenever we see a dead bird, it's like we put it in the grass because it just melting on melting on the road or the sidewalk. It kind
Hmm.
of feels demonic, like symbolic in a way
Yeah.
of how like we've terraformed and sort of now these things are like melting into the ground, but
Hmm.
like not in a way that's beautiful in nature, not in a way that like nature itself can find sustenance in its existence. It's just sort of dissolving, or
Hmm.
not dissolving, yeah, just melting instead of dissolving. And so it's just, yeah, so I kind of wanted to like, it's only a 3 minute thing, and I wanted it to be funny, but I kind of wanted to connect that to, you know, I feel like my particular generation, I, we're still trying to figure out the point of college. I feel like for other
Yeah.
generations, the point has always been like learning and sort of access to information that you can't really get anywhere else. Access to like certain people
Yeah.
and that. But we grew up with like an internet where people are getting the people maybe you'd look up to are getting canceled
Uh-huh.
or like we have direct access to them so
Yeah.
we can know about their process, ask them questions, email them.
Hmm.
But there are also like tons of videos and like just a lot of avenues to learn. And so the point of college sort of,
Yeah, what's the point of it?
yeah, what's the point? And that's why I feel like it's so easy to get into ChatGPT because I got like I sent a really not mean. I
Yeah.
sent a really angry email to a professor.
Yeah.
I was like, it was on me in this particular instance, but
Yeah.
I was like, what's the point of doing all this? It seems like, and I just, and it's so like, it's it these. assignments, they feel like really pointless. And it's like,
Yeah.
and the teacher responded, "Oh yeah, I mean, in college, I felt like it was, I felt like there were pointless classes I'd take, and
Yeah.
it's, and so you just have to like get through it." And I'm like, and
Yeah.
that really messes with me because
Yeah.
I'm like, and it was an online class, but like
Yeah.
I'm paying, I'm paying to pass the class. I'm paying to like, you know, if I'm paying for like an education, I feel like it should be sort of catered to what I'm interested in, even if
Yeah.
it's specifically for the major, even though it's like a core requirement. It just feels, as a teacher, I feel like it should be important that like all of the students are satisfied, especially like in
Right.
an online class where you can respond and do anything,
Yeah.
um, do whatever you want, basically. But
Yeah. I think my experience in college was like I was very I mean, I went to 1 year of art school at Pratt in Brooklyn, and I dropped out because basically at that period of time I was like really considering sort of I was like reading all like anarchist books and stuff like that, and I was like, what is the point of like any institution? I don't get what I'm doing here. And I was like, maybe I'll just go join Earth First and like live in a tent, you know. That was sort of like where I was at that point when I was 18, 17, 18. And then when I went back to college, I went to film school in Philadelphia, and I just kind of like really passively went to college, and I didn't, I don't know how much I took advantage of that time, but I was taking classes that I was like, why do I have to take, um, you know, math class or whatever when I'm trying to learn filmmaking or whatever, you know?
mhm.
So it was like hard for me to justify what I was doing. But meanwhile, I was in bands and stuff and just touring and doing things like that. And my student loans I spent on buying a van for my band to tour in. So I was like not a good student. So I don't know. I don't know how to. I think later in life, if I had gone to school when I was older, I would have maybe appreciated it more. But
Mhm.
where I my but as a kid, as a younger kid, like 17, 18, even in my 20s, like 21, 20, I went back to school when I was 21 or 22 or something. um my my ego at the time was like not interested in absorbing knowledge from some random teacher, you know. I really just was like, give me my degree and let me get out of here, was my sort of my attitude. um and I think if I were older, I would have been more willing to um let go of my ego, but and just absorb knowledge from someone else and allow myself to like sort of like almost cease to exist during class time or something.
Mhm.
But um I wasn't. I don't know. I really don't know when a good time to learn is. Like I don't. I I think you get better. I think you get better at learning as you get older. And it's just like this fine, like when you're young, you're trying to establish your voice and stuff and say, I think you're trying to be like make a place for yourself in the world. You're saying like, I'm here, I belong here, this is my voice, and you're trying to say, announce to the world that you're alive and like, making shit or whatever. And
Mhm.
I think it's almost like people should go to college when they're in their 30s. I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then when you're in your 20s and your late teens, you should be just going nuts trying to like be in a scene and um making cool shit and like socializing and I don't know, like, you know, getting to know people, other cool creative people. And um I don't, that was sort of my experience, and now it's even worse because it's harder to justify paying for school when no one knows. I mean, when I was in art school, it already was like an unknown prospect. Being like, I'm paying for art school. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do when I get out of here? Um, and now I feel like it's even worse, right? So, um, where are you going to meet other 20-year-olds at that time, if not for college? Yeah. So I think college is a cool place to meet other people your age. It's almost like a place to make friends. That's what I see as college.
Yeah.
It's a place to party. And then you sort of have your network of people that you've met and like who might be able to help you in the future or like work on make cool stuff together, that kind of thing. But I don't know actually how much learning you kind of like, to me, unless you're like going to medical school to be a doctor, you're sort of the whole time you're kind of just teaching yourself anyway, regardless. So
Yeah.
I think college is really about networking. Um, yeah, I think when you're older, you get more out of learning from other people, and when you're younger, you get more out of making friends and collaborating. I think, um, and just being like, oh, I met this cool person who might end up being like your best friend, you know, for the rest of your life or whatever. Like one of my memories of going to Pratt is just meeting my two friends, Rebecca and John, who I ended up being friends with for the rest of my life. You know,
Mm.
that's like the most I got out of Pratt was probably those two friendships. Um, yeah, and just seeing that from like all the Cal Arts kids I know, like how they're all friends with each other. And they kind of collectively taught each other how to animate. It was like less the classes and more just hanging out in a studio together. And I was like, that's a lot of money to pay to just hang out in a studio together, but that's cool. Yeah.
No, yeah. It is sort of capitalist in a way. I mean, the
Yeah.
only reason that I enjoy like reading books, the specific reason I choose books is like not even to really enjoy them. It's just to like it's just to like find out information and like form and like just have a greater grasp of the a world around me so I can interpret it in my stories. Like
Yeah.
I only read to write, and I just now found that like that's probably not normal. Well, like people
I'm a bit
doing
like that. I sort of read for ideas.
yeah, I've heard that like people read to like enjoy a story.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like just slightly foreign to me because like I just can't like I just whenever I read a book with a really good story, I'm like, well, I could. It's not a competition, but I feel like I could do this better, or like it's so inspirational that like I
Hmm.
can't. It takes so much time to read, like very short, like maybe like 200 page stories. It's just like so easy, um, so easy to like jump off and sort of my brain flies around.
Mm-hmm.
So I mostly read like nonfiction stuff, and it's just I feel like uh, as reference manuals or
Yeah.
just as like historical. Oh, that's cool. Like in 1960, I think the if I'm remembering correctly, the 1960 Olympics, there was like I think it was in New Mexico, and like there was since apparently like the stadium was surrounded in a mountainous town, and so like pollution would be trapped inside there, and it was like a problem.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, I wouldn't, I find like way more interesting, and so in college I actually do like learning about history and all these other things. I'd
Yeah.
never want to major in them because I'm not. I mean, I am interested in. I don't like. I feel like if I did try to major in those,
Mm-hmm.
my brain would like fly around way too much to focus on every specific document and give it enough attention. So I try to like uh, find the information on my own so I can do it at my own leisure. And so
Yeah.
like that's why I don't want to be like an English or a history major or anything like that. But I find it really enjoyable, and also math classes are pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't find math too hard. It's just like really repetitive, and
Mm.
I feel like if you want to do math, there's people that enjoy math, and there's people that like that are interested in math's application. And I feel like even if I want to do, I don't feel like my cartoons, people would buy my ideas. So
Mm.
I'm very interested in like um, just doing concept art or even graphics programming, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
very math intensive.
Yeah.
uh, I find like I'd want to do that because even then, that math is very specific. I mean, there are like abstract elements um, that would help, that a math degree would help in applying everything. Like
Yeah.
if you talk to a graphics designer, they'd be like, take every math class you can. You don't
Yeah.
know what problem it'll solve later, but
Yeah.
um, that's high paying, and so I can make cartoons if I did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find that interesting. My real problem was with the arts classes because,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I felt like this is like sort of pointless. Why am I learning Photoshop in this way? Why am I like being graded on how I do like industry standard sort of Photoshop stuff? If because I'm more of like an end product guy, and I can explain, and I do have my own rules, and I'm okay with like following whatever specific set of things I have to do in order for like my Photoshop process to be communicable.
Yeah.
But like I'm paying for this, and I'm being like graded so harshly that I like if I fail I have to take the class again, and I don't feel like
Yeah.
Photoshop is that deep that I should pay like like another $1,000, $2,000
Yeah.
in order to learn this specific teacher's process. It just
What
felt
what's
really
your
wrong
what's
to
your
me.
teacher's process like?
Um, I'd say it's pretty regular. It was just like a regular introductory Photoshop thing. So I'm like, why are we being graded harsh in the first place? I
Yeah.
feel like it's awesome if you could just use Photoshop at all. There's some people that are like tech illiterate,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't base myself off of the people that didn't have what I have doing the class, but like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is college. You're learning something new. The classes should be based off of someone who has no idea about this
Right.
certain concept. So basically, I wanted to be a lazy ass because I knew everything. I knew everything there is to know about like how to do Photoshop
Yeah.
stuff. But like the assignments were so blah, and my computer's so bad that I was just like, well, my process would be way easier, and then I'd
Yeah.
have to like send the file to the teacher, and they'd be like, oh well, it's not how I do it, and so like
Yeah.
your grade's gonna be trashed.
Right.
And so it's just like, oh man, spend
Well,
another two bands on this education.
yeah. I mean, my experience at Pratt was like, I was just doing the, what do you call it? The fundamental year or whatever, foundation year. And I didn't understand abstract art at all back then. And Pratt at that time was very much like these 70s, New York 70s art world boomer type people. And they were all about like non-representational art. So I'd be in the sculpture class making a little guy, like a little, basically like an action figure. And the guy would get mad at me, the teacher would get mad at me because he'd be like, you're just making like, what is this? You're just making a dude, you know? And I was like, yeah, what else would I make? I don't know, you know? And that was because I was so obsessed with like comic. I just wanted to make cartoons and comics, but I was in art school doing like abstract hippie, like 70s abstract art. And but the second semester I like really got depressed, and I was in such a like down depressed state that I didn't have the willpower to fight for my own vision of things, you know? And so I just did the assignments exactly the way the teacher wanted. And I was making abstract blobs that had no meaning to me, you know? And at the end of the second semester, he came up to me at the end and he was like, hey, you've like really, really made like huge strides this semester. Like you've like evolved as an artist. And in my head, I was like, it's because I'm so depressed. I don't have the willpower to fight you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say that, but I told him I was dropping out. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back next year, you know? And I think about that sometimes because I think actually in retrospect, even though he was like a 70s boomer New York artist, like I think he was right. And part of me being so depressed that I couldn't fight, my ego couldn't fight off his suggestions, meant that he was able to break me down and force me to do something outside of my comfort zone. And that like opened my mind to this idea of non-representational art. But it wasn't until like years later, me thinking back and being like, oh yeah, you know what, that being able to flex that muscle and give into some sort of way of making art that made no sense to me, it was actually kind of important for my growth. And so something about that moment still influences me to this day. Even though if you look at my art, you see a bunch of characters. I am thinking about that 70s New York boomer art teacher I had, and thinking, oh, how could I make a shape that's non-representational, you know? Can I think about color in a non-representational way? Yeah. So there is some influence that was useful, even though at the time I didn't appreciate it.
No, yeah. There's always a token in things you um on premise like would reject if you had your own way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's because like yeah, I think I'm just like really young. It's just I'm also thinking about the there's always gonna be an excuse to not do the things you don't want to do.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I find the most joy in classes that like I have no idea what I'm doing there. Or I feel like I already have a firm grasp in because these are people like with degrees that have like learned every aspect of the subject, and
Right.
that's really cool to learn from them.
Yeah.
I just feel like if it just feels like such a large amount, like $6,000 to $12,000 a semester,
Yeah.
and then I have to do things like their certain specific way.
Yeah.
It just feels it's hard not to reject that. It just feels so bad on my soul that I'll have to like
Yeah.
I'll either have to just become more of like a like flowing water in these
Yeah.
sort of class and just accept the sort of box or vase or like the glass
Yeah.
and just like be in there and drink in the sort of information. It just for this much money, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to pay like 70 to like $100,000 in loans.
Yeah.
And then there's this AI crap, and like there's students that get by, and it's encouraged to use AI, and it's just,
Yeah. I'm hearing that from Bafano also.
it's just like, I just feel so bad about it. I just feel
Um,
so bad about it.
yeah, I mean, when when I was coming up, not going to college was like such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And now it's like sort of the opposite, I guess. Now people are like, why would I spend, like you said, $100,000 to get a degree that might not serve me in any way? You know, I might as well just roll the dice and try to become an online art star, you know?
Mhm.
Maybe that's like hedging my bets better, or just become a person that does Blender tutorials on YouTube, you know, or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
As a person that doesn't go to art school, do
Yeah,
not take art school for granted if you're out there in the chat or like if you're watching this.
yeah,
Because like art school is the way I hear people talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, I went to art school and then um I met someone from Disney or this is like
yeah,
Cal Arts like SVA, these are like
yeah,
really big art schools.
yeah,
But like and I don't want to sound jealous, but
yeah.
they're talking to like industry professionals and
Hmm.
like if you're a freelance artist, the gap from freelance from the gap from professionals like in the industry and you, someone who maybe went to like a tech college or like a
Yeah,
business or trade school,
yeah,
is like significantly harder to surpass. Like you have to be like really good if you want to compete with
yeah,
someone that went to art school. It doesn't mean they're necessarily like it doesn't mean if you went to art school you're necessarily better or worse. It's just like very much easier, even with the avenue of the internet, to
yeah,
like even if you hate your job in the industry, oh, I have to do like another adult animated Family Guy, whatever. Like that's like a big opportunity to like meet people very young.
yeah,
Like if you're a freelance artist, I feel like you don't get headway until you like 26, 28,
yeah,
sort of very much later into your adult years.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I didn't start working in animation till I was 30. So before that, um I was what do you call it? I was working at a video store, and I was folding boxes, and I was a medical patient or whatever, you know. So
mm,
I just did that, all that sort of odd jobs for like a decade before I got scooped up to go do Adventure Time, you know. So I was sort of like dead set on this idea of being a indie, like a struggling indie comics artist, web comics guy,
mm,
and figuring out like, oh, how do I make money off of doing that? I was doing like online commissions and stuff. I was doing, you know, paintings for people for $100, like stuff like that, you know, online. Um, so to me, like, because I went to a state school, so I went to Temple, which was a state school, and at that time it was about $8,000 a year. So then my debt ended up being like what, 36,000, something like that. um so comparatively, if I'd stayed at Pratt, it, you know, at that time Pratt was like 30,000 a year, so I would have had, you know, whatever, $120,000 debt, something like that. And now Pratt, I imagine Pratt is probably like 50,000 a year or something like that, you know.
mm,
um Probably maybe more, I don't know. um so that was another reason why I dropped out of Pratt, was because like I was like, I don't think I can pay this off if I keep going here. You know, that was my one of my big considerations. Because for all of my 20s, I was topping out at like, my income was something like 20,000 a year, something like that. You know, I was just living off of
mm,
fucking nothing. 20, if I had a really good year, I was like making maybe like 50k, something like that. Because I had a job where I was like pretending to be sick for these like student doctors, and that paid like $23 an hour or something like that. So those years I was making about maybe between 40 and 50k, something like that.
mm.
So not too bad. For living in my rent in Philadelphia was like 250, so that doesn't exist anymore. um Unless you're, I don't know where you'd have to move to pay. I mean, already I was paying less than my friends were probably paying like $600 a month in a rent, a month in rent, something like that, in Philly in the early 2000s. But yeah, I was living in a super cheap asbestos warehouse, paying like 250 a month, and
Mm.
only working just enough so that I could pay rent and pay for food, you know. um
Asbestos. That might be why you go to the doctor every month.
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
actually, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I have nightmares I'm gonna die from mesothelioma.
mm,
um so fingers crossed I don't have an allergic reaction to asbestos in my lungs. um but I was saying, yeah, but that doesn't, like, the financial world, the economy's changed so much, and inflation has changed so much, and cost of living is so different now, and um, it's not, you can't, I don't know. It's hard. It's harder to just like live a scrappy art life now, I think. At least in the major cities, it's like really, really hard. I know people are doing it, so it's not impossible, but I think conditions are way more difficult.
yeah.
I think you just got to find like, 6 roommates in a 2-bedroom apartment or something,
Yeah.
that kind of situation. And then just live scrappy for the next, whatever, until you can figure out how to make a living off your creativity, and pay back all your. I mean, you can just default on your student loans and just be like, I'm bankrupt. I can't pay you back. Guess. And then hope whoever's president next says all loans are forgiven, like Biden said he was going to do. I don't know if that even. I think maybe that happened for some people or something. I don't know what that situation was.
I think that did happen. I feel
Yeah.
like some Trump definitely just did overturn a bunch of the forgiveness that Biden did because
Okay.
of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you know what I'm really waiting for?
What's that?
I can't wait for Indy to go to like just overturn this current entertainment industry and just
Yeah.
I really want it to have a form, have buildings, have foundations for children, all the stuff that like networks had.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wait for that because it's just a cycle.
Yeah.
I really want to ride this wave until the cycle gets to the point. I know there's certain people in India that reject government funding, like
Mm-hmm.
um, just like any sort of funding from
An institution.
yeah from into like I feel like no, I feel like that's the wrong way to go about it. We just
Yeah.
need like a new administration just to like replace the old. I mean, that's always the way that history has sort of worked.
Yeah.
Like we just keep getting better and better and better. That doesn't mean we should necessarily throw away the old systems because those for sure helped a lot of people. It just new way to, and there are people that sort of reject that because it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to like work for Darth Vader until
Yeah.
Darth Vader dies, so like I can make a change to the system, like writing the
Right.
system until you change it, and then the system changes you, sort of thing. But
You
I feel
mean
like that.
so there's a world in which you can, like, I don't know, like move to Germany and like get a residency in Germany and then get government funding to be an artist, in Berlin or something. Like I've had friends who've
Mm,
done stuff like that. America is pretty rough, but there's like European countries you can go hang out at and get grants and stuff. Um, that's like one thing. That's like one avenue. I just
yeah,
I just never did that personally
Australia.
because I always thought I never well, I don't know. Maybe I just thought Berlin was kind of whack, so I just like never. No offense to anyone, if anyone's from Germany here, but um, yeah, I'm so like what do you call it, conditioned to be American. It's like hard for me to like stay in another country for too long. I did enjoy I enjoyed living in France for a couple months, but um
Is it just me, or do like Europeans think they're better than us Americans? I sort of get pissed off about
I
that.
think it goes
They're
both.
like,
I think
"Oh,
it goes
Americans
both
so bad."
ways. I definitely think it goes both ways. At this point, like currently, like I don't know, I find it pretty embarrassing to be an American. But yeah,
I am not at all embarrassed to be an American.
yeah,
I'm embarrassed for the current administration,
yeah, for
and
sure.
then that's basically it. I mean, you can be embarrassed in a way that, like, the fact that there is a Donald Trump in America
Yeah,
is a testament to how American society has failed. Um, but,
yeah.
um, but
Just
like,
sort of.
I am very proud to like live in this nation and
Yeah,
how it like changes and tries to be better.
I like the idea. I like the idea of America.
Yeah.
And I like. I've enjoyed my experience growing up in America, but um overall I would say Or but maybe it could be like what do you call it? What's that syndrome? You know,
Oh yeah. What is it called? It's the
I always forget what it's called when you identify too much with your captor. Stockholm syndrome. Yeah.
yeah, Stockholm.
But there's certain things like even when I was in Japan recently talking to my cousins, and just the way they approach things like conflict. Like my two cousins were not getting along, and they didn't know how to communicate it with each other. And it was a very, very Japanese cultural sort of like conundrum. And in my head, I'm like, just talk to each other, just fucking hash it out. Just go over to your brother's house and fucking ask him what his problem is.
Mm.
And it just seemed like impossible. And for me to even bring that up was sort of rude. And I was like,
Yeah.
to me, I was like, that's what's cool about being American or whatever, to me, anyway. Um, and just because I grew up in that sort of like speak your mind culture where
Hmm.
it's okay to be kind of a little bit rude and say what you think, kind of. At least like especially East Coast American, like growing up in Philadelphia. Maybe not so much in California, but um uh I'm not saying that doesn't obviously that exists in lots of other countries as well, but it's just like a thing, just like noticing some cultural differences and things like that. I'm just so conditioned to uh American style social etiquette that it's like a little bit hard for me to exist within other cultures a little bit.
Yeah.
And the times I've traveled around, I've always kind of picked up on that, being like, oh yeah, like I don't know, just the way that even the way that like the normal social etiquette between like the French and stuff is just so slightly off to the point where you start to feel homesick, you know. And I was definitely feeling that in France, although um although I don't know, I kind of dug France. I feel like I could survive in Paris,
Mm.
um as far as like getting along with the French. Some Americans feel vibed out by the French, but I don't personally. um
I mean, yeah, current France. Current
yeah,
France is pretty great.
yeah,
I mean, there's some issues, but yeah, I feel like the world as a whole is getting better. I feel like
yeah,
conforming is sort of anti-American, which is kind of funny too, considering who's president and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, I've never felt pressure to conform and like
yeah. It's very like
I
individualistic to a fault, maybe sometimes. Evan Thompson said, being from Philly, have you ever connected with Tim Heidecker or Vic Berger? I have met Tim Heidecker a few times, and I've met Eric Wareheim a few times, and I used to hang out with Doug Pound sometimes. And because Doug Pound used to date a neighbor of mine. And then I knew Tim. I didn't know them personally, but I knew I would go see Tim and Eric perform before when they would do these like performance art shows, like comedy shows in Philly before they had that show Tom Goes to the Mayor. So I was around when in Philly when they were just starting to be like a comedy duo. I remember seeing them do a slideshow comedy show thing presentation on like a business idea they had, I think like years ago in Philadelphia. Um, they knew my friend Edan Cohen had a party and they performed. Um, yeah, so I've been around. I like don't know those guys personally, except for I knew Doug. I knew Doug when I moved to LA because he was dating my neighbor Carmi for a couple of years. Um, but and I was friends with Carmi, but they stopped dating, so I stopped seeing Doug. Doug stopped coming around. uh, yeah, but
That's always so interesting, like the way you describe relationships and like just knowing of a person who knows a person who knows a person. It's just
uh-huh.
I feel so, and it's funny because my dad's like one of those people.
Hmm.
I feel like that's I don't want to say for sure because I'm essentially a new age hermit,
Hmm.
but it feels like it died. Like,
Oh, someone that knows somebody that knows somebody.
yeah, I feel like that's a Discord. I mean, yeah, Gen Z is basically like a Discord generation. I feel like maybe you'd know someone that way,
Yeah,
but to like live to experience life and it just happened naturally instead of um, having to directly, like, I feel like for you, I mean, you didn't know who these people would turn out to be, like famous, whatever. You just,
yeah,
tried to do what you felt was best for you, and it just like happened naturally.
yeah.
For like a Discord generation, it's like, oh, I have to consistently place myself in these positions for it to happen,
Hmm.
and then like and then if I give these people the wrong vibes, they can't just they're not gonna stick around. I feel like I have to
Yeah,
like perform like very, very performative. It's not like you live near this person, it'd take them like 6 months to move out if they really I mean, if they really dislike the community.
yeah.
It's like, oh, like I don't like you, blocked, never talking to you
Right.
again,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just completely abandoned by these people you've been talking to for a long time because
yeah.
it's just that easy.
I
It
mean,
just feels
personally,
so
like
hard.
currently, I'd say for the past like 5, 6 years, my whole social existence, not whole social existence, but like a big part of my social existence is probably online. So I've become more Gen Z like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm on Discord all day long. Like I stream all the time, and I'm mostly interacting with like people who I think are creative, cool, creative people. Like mostly interacting online. Although there's a couple social events that happen in LA amongst animators and stuff where we all sort of converge or whatever. And I'll go get coffee and stuff with people who I think are cool if they hit me up, or but it's not the way. I would say it's much, much less IRL than when I was growing up in Philadelphia, which was everything was IRL, but just was different. um, Different world. And I would say like I don't know, man. Like I yeah, I've like hermited up also, and yeah, it's definitely, I don't think it's good, but I don't know what to do about it really. I can't,
Same.
I don't know, I'm just like a victim of the internet, just like everybody else. um
Like at points, I start to understand how people believe that like 5G and
yeah,
the internet is like mind controlling.
yeah.
And it is sort of mind control in a way. The fact that like this isn't normal. I don't feel like it's normal to just like completely shut facets of humanity out. But like what can you really do when it was such a small community?
Hmm.
Like we're built for like small communities, and like those small communities group up and form a town, and then the town forms a like a what are they called, a district, and then the
Hmm.
district forms like a city, and then the city forms like just like it just there are levels of communication,
Hmm.
but now you can just like talk to anyone anywhere, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's just it's done sort of this is like a transitional period, and just living through it
Yeah.
feels horrible. It feels like mind control that I have to like follow these rules that my parents didn't have to, and I just
Yeah.
have to like assume it's normal for this to happen to me
Yeah.
and just like live with it. It's just
Yeah, I mean it's um I don't know. I mean, like, I don't regularly, like, I'm not in high school. I'm not in college. Like, I don't know what that feels like. You know, I have my nostalgic memories of, like, especially high school for me was extremely nostalgic. And all the experiences I had during that time were, like, super novel and full of hope. So you know, hope and struggle and whatever, like passion, you know.
mm,
And as I got older, it's more like I'm just praying that the end of the road will lead me to some sort of meaning. um yeah. I'm definitely in a weird place in my life currently where like I'm doing so many creative things, and it's almost like I'm just like constantly jamming out fucking ideas and stuff, but at the same time I'm more isolated than I've ever been, you know. uh so it's a very strange time in my life currently, like really almost I feel like I'm in some weird sort of self-contradictory purgatory or something. Just like I should be fucking blissed out, being like, oh, I'm fucking making all this shit. I'm constantly
yeah.
I'm constantly making shit. I've got like three huge worlds I'm always trying to develop, and or maybe more. And then um but I don't know, it's just me and my cat, man, you know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I've
just
noticed that.
I'm
Like,
like the most connected. Me and my cat, I was like, fuck it, I'm so dialed in with my cat. But you know, like
yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm like I feel like I'm constantly just frazzled. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like always frazzled and always like barely able to like understand how I relate to the outside world. Like, you know, just like I don't know who. Yeah, I'll like go out like to friends' parties at friends' houses and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I'm glad these people seem to still like me. You know,
Yeah, I
I just
know.
have to check in and be like, okay, I think people still, my friends still like me. All right, cool. Yeah.
Isn't this moment like awesome though? Like, you're just like, it's such a noticeable, obvious transitional point in human history. And I
Hmm.
just like, and I feel like I always try to reject that idea because like I'm more or less like hardly barely an adult
Hmm.
and have not experienced a lot of life, but like it's such an obvious transitional point in human history
Yeah, it's a
where we
huge.
have to refigure out
Hmm.
every sort of our relationship dynamics, everything.
Yeah.
And it just feels really awesome and scary to be a part of because
Yeah.
um, I was reading like I was reading this book about Palestinians and how their sort of view on the future is locked to their trauma and all the
Hmm.
things that they've witnessed.
Hmm.
And I don't want to compare my experience as American to that,
Hmm.
but also like I don't feel like there's a lot of futurists in my generation like imagining the future. It's sort of locked on this time in getting past the turmoil, the sort of trauma or
Well, the
whatever
problem right now is like I think most people who are excited about the future are like sick fucks, you know?
yeah.
And and that's why there's so much nostalgia because people are like looking back towards a time when people had more hope for the future, whereas it's like yeah, the people who are like most excited about the future now are like hoping that humanity disappears, you know. So it's a weird it's like we're right at the edge of it's almost like we're in this really important moment in a choose your own adventure, and humanity's like going to decide which way it's going to go. And it's not looking good. But I don't know. Probably people have said that over and over again throughout human history, you know. I imagine a lot, you know. During like the many times that Jerusalem was like burned to the ground back in like pre, you know, whatever, during before Jesus or whatever. I was reading that book Zealot or whatever. It was just like how many times the Romans fucking just leveled Jerusalem, you know? That's why like um there were like all these like apocalyptic prophets back then, you know? So I don't know. Maybe it's like not too different. If you're like if the city you're in is being like fucking invaded by Alexander the Great, you'd be like, well, I guess the world is ending, you know? So now it's more like a conceptual, like existential sort of technological crisis or something. I don't know. It's hard to have be able to have a bird's eye view on what's going on in the world, and just because nobody really knows how it's going to shake out. And,
Yeah.
and we might all get to the end of our lives, and all the stuff that's like accumulating now, the conflicts that are accumulating, and like sort of like worry about humanity that's like been generating for the past 10 years might still be like ramping up in 60 years from now, you know. Like 60 years from now we might still be saying, oh, Terminator 2 is gonna happen, you know. It could just be this like blue ball fucking apocalypse for the next 60 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I will say, in my experience of being in my teens growing up in the 90s, the feeling was absolutely completely different pre 9/11. Like pre 9/11, all the only thing I cared about was like if Nirvana was selling out, you know. I was like fucking Nirvana, you know, or whatever. Nirvana's getting too big or whatever. And then like 9/11 happened, and then it's just been like fucking escalating you know set of like government sort of like interventions on the American people slowly over the years. I don't know if I worded that right, but just like constant like ramping of like paranoia and like invasion of privacy and like what do you call it, surveillance and all that kind of stuff that have just like ramped up as technology has improved, and it's like never stopped since then. But back then it was like I was like, oh, you know, fucking my dreams. My dreams are gonna come true. I just have to believe, you know. That was like that was the way I was thinking in my teens or whatever. And I was like,
yeah,
adults are fucking stupid. I don't know, you know.
Real.
Adults are fucking dumb as fuck, and I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and you know, and art is just gonna keep getting cooler. You know, I don't know. And it kind of was like that for a while, and then there's been this like diminish, like almost like a psychic attack on the human soul that's been happening for the past 15 years. 10 years? 10 years. Yeah, I don't know. I would say even since 2012 is like when we shifted over into some weird timeline.
Yeah. Doomsday.
Yeah, I think it was a psychic doomsday that like we slowly shifted into this weird fucking timeline.
I remember 2013, they're like, the world's gonna end, and then like last year, right? I think everyone was saying, oh yeah, or Christians were saying the world's gonna end.
Yeah.
And then
I don't think it's gonna be end. I don't think it's like literal end. I think it's some sort of like psychic warfare on the human soul or something. Yeah, it's on our own ability to like believe in the future, and like believe in progress or something of like of like attaining humanity, attaining enlightenment or something.
That's also what I like truly believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the first time in history where everyone has access to everyone's lives, pains,
Mm-hmm.
struggles, everything. I feel
Yeah.
like we're getting closer to it. And this period between is just us shedding our preconceptions of human nature and what the point of all this is, and like what we should do moving forward, and like healing. Like, it sucks, but now we have access and we can help people, and everyone can work towards helping people. We don't have to elect specific people to help people. We could make changes that can impact lives centuries later. And I feel like that's like supremely important, that we make the right choices as a society, not as a society choosing a governor or a senator, or not the senator, but the president, just that now that we have, there's like no excuse. I mean, there are excuses, obviously, but there's a future in which I believe, I know it's optimistic, there's a future in which we never have a president that makes such unilateral decisions, because we see the impact of that on lives like kilometers, like thousands of kilometers away. Like, we see the impact of each and every decision we make. That's like crippling, but it's also like beautiful. And that's why this is such a huge turning point. We genuinely get to decide to make a better future with all the information we have available, with like the most information we've had available ever. So easily accessible in videos. We don't have to buy a bunch of books. If books are burned, they can be found online. Someone's archived them. Like, we can finally do something. We can finally work towards something that could be better, faster. It doesn't have to like change so slowly. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just such a beautiful thing, and I feel like this is like I lived a very privileged life. I always had a roof over my head and like food to eat. I never never for a long period of time. I got everything. I I got all the tools I needed
Hmm.
in order to like be a good person in society and never have to have regrets about the things I want or need to do in order to like uh be present and be like a good, yeah, just like a regular member of society. It
Hmm.
just but like, man, it's really really easy to be pessimistic, but there's this like other half that's like we could we can do something about it. Like the president isn't so unattainable. The president, like, I don't know how, I mean, maybe you can speak on this,
Hmm.
but were these positions of power like just like did you see the president or your governor or your like maybe not your mayor, but even, yeah, maybe even your mayor, did you see these people as like a special leaders who would guide the future more than the average person does? I feel like people walk
Mm.
around and sort of, oh, that person's like, I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah.
Did you see them as like a level above like average or yeah, your average
I just assumed,
person?
no, growing up, I just assumed anyone in a position of power is like morally compromised.
Did you feel like you could do nothing to change it? Because I feel like
I felt
now
like,
we could.
I think, I think we have more ability to change it than we ever have. That's one thing that sort of makes me hopeful, and it's because I think back growing up, like the corruption and the truly like vile sort of like nature of power was sort of hidden behind a pretty stable US economy. So we sort of would go protest things we, like, oh, the Iraq war or whatever, like, we were like against that kind of stuff. But we didn't really understand like how deep the corruption went. I think because life was so comfortable. And so it's almost like you put a blind eye to it because like, well, I mean, life is affordable here, like pretty things could be better, but the sort of like evil wasn't as apparent, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
even during the times when I was a really young kid, I would see the like Iran Contra trials, like Oliver North being on trial for something going on with like selling weapons to some country or whatever. And I didn't understand what was happening at the time, really, except that I was like, there's something going on fucked up. Like during the Bush era, during the Reagan era, there was like something fucked up happening, and then even when Bill Clinton like signed the NAFTA agreement and stuff like that, I was like, something fucked up and corrupt is happening, you know? And I knew that we were sort of like destabilizing like third world governments and stuff like that. And there's always like these whispers of things as I was growing up, but it really, really didn't start to. And I was like very conspiratorial growing up. You know what I mean? I'm like an X-Files kid. So
Mhm.
you always felt like, oh, there's the trilateral commission, the Bilderberg group, the Illuminati, and like all this kind of stuff. And but it's all sort of like cosplay at that point a little bit. You're just like imagining how these world decisions are being made. Like, why did we? The big one was Iraq. The big one, like the first time where I'm like, why? People start being like, what? There's like no reason for us to invade Iraq. Like, there's no. We're just doing it because they hate freedom. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like that was the first. Like, when they said that, they were like, we're invading Iraq because they hate our freedom. And I'm like, wait, what? That's the premise, you know? It's fucking crazy. And so that was the first time where I was like, I think something is going on. I really think something is going on that I have no control over and no say. Like the American, no matter how we vote, the things are gonna like. There's people making decisions that do not give a fuck who's in power, you know, or who's like president. There's people, they call it, what do you call it? I forget what the term is, like persistence of government or something, continuance of, I forget. Basically, there's like people who are never leaving their positions of power, regardless of who's elected.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, whatever, people running the Pentagon and shit. Anyway, so there was that, but then I think now, well, after the internet came about, and then we had the like explosion of almost like Donald Trump becoming president the second time, and all the shit that came out is like the cancer revealing itself, you know? And so now there's this like thing we can all see, and it's not hidden. And it's not hidden behind like good manners, you know, or like ways that politicians normally would like operate or like be publicly perceived. You know, even someone like George Bush, who tons of people hated, had a presidential behavior, you know, like way of like interacting with politics with people, even you know, with Democrats or whatever. And now all that stuff is out the window, and we're just like, the most evil scenario is now like real, you know. It's not behind the curtain. So so now it's like up to, and you're starting to see it, and I don't want to say how we're starting to see it because I don't want to get kicked off platforms, you know what I mean? But we're starting to we're starting to see what it takes to actually like change stuff in a system where voting seems to barely matter. Actually changing your government might require other things. And I think that in the 90s we were so comfortable, like the price of food was and gas was like
50 cents.
Yeah, it was like easy to exist and like sort of ignore the evil that you benefit from. And so now we're not benefiting from evil anymore, you know. So it's like it's much harder to ignore.
Yeah.
So in some ways, yeah, accelerationism is sort of, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a case to be made. I don't like it, but I just want to draw cartoons, man, you know? I don't want to fucking be in the streets with a AR-15 fucking, you know, whatever. Like, no thanks, man. Like, I'm not really built for that. I'm barely built for like, you know, getting into a street fight or something. Yeah, I don't know. But we're starting. I mean, it's happening all the time now. Even I would say even the more harmless version of it being those kids like speed running the Scientology building. You know, I see that, and I'm like, that's interesting. You know,
why do people hate Scientology so much? I tried to like read the wiki,
Yeah.
and it was like,
It's like
okay,
a
so they like scam
yeah, they scam people
people.
and they keep them as like labor slaves on their boats and stuff.
Oh,
I think.
I didn't know that.
Uh yeah. So I don't know. It's just like a manipulative like pyramid scheme institution. I took a personality test at a Scientology center like 20 years ago or something.
They weren't convincing.
It was convincing. It took a lot of inner strength for me to walk out of that building. They were just like they had these like ways of like forcing that, like I had to run out of the building. They were like, stop. You know? I was like, holy shit, I'm being like indoctrinated into a cult right now. It was kind of crazy. Um but yeah, I like the speed running the Scientology building because it's like there's something about it. It's like it's like non-violent, but it's like disrupting, like it's almost like shocking people out of their it's like a jolt.
Yeah.
It's like a jolt of shock of like my normal day is now fucking different, you know? And
Like
it's
a
like
protest.
yeah, it's a protest, but it's like more in line with what my soul or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like I hate protests. I hate them. Like I mean, good, like power to you if you like want to go rally and hold slogans and say slogans and stuff, but for me I can't, it like really rubs against up against my personality. I can't chant the same thing someone else next to me is chanting. It drives me crazy. Makes me feel like I've lost my I've like given up myself to someone else or something. Like it feels like non-consensual to me.
Yeah, I feel like protests are fine. I don't think everyone should be shouting. Protests of like Vietnam, protests of those things had a speaker who would say the purpose of the cause and like every specific thing. Not saying protests today don't.
Yeah.
But it feels like even some of the leftist sort of woke stuff, and I'm very woke. I love woke stuff. It feels performative, sort of LARPy in a way that some of our leaders, some of the people who like would lead the left, go to the right when they're like, "Oh, the left rejected me." Well, like, what did you stand for in the first place?
Yeah.
Why are you compromising? Like, did you not have all the information you needed to lead the party? Who elected you? I mean, the people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's just like a survival thing. That's like a social survival thing. Like some people are they're so like fucking socially annihilated by the left that they don't feel like they have a choice except to survive by finding, you know what I mean, finding shelter in the right, and the right is like completely willing to take those people in, you know.
Yeah, fight or flight.
They're like, oh yeah, welcome home or whatever. You know. So to me that's a issue. To me, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's a complicated issue, and it's very heavily, what do you call it? It's a big part of like you'd have to really deconstruct the internet and the culture of the internet to really understand it. I don't think anyone really has their head totally wrapped around like those sorts of like like that phenomenon of like, you know, like I knew a dude, I did jujitsu with a dude who was like a well-known super left comedian, and he got super canceled online. This was like years ago. And then I don't know what he's doing now, but I think he's like ultra super Christian or something. Or maybe he even got like, I don't know. The dude was like, he needed help. He needed help.
Well, there is something to be said about how disjointed the left.
No, I
really
wasn't. I
is.
wasn't doing jujitsu with Russell Brand. No, but it was this other guy, this comedian, LA comedian, who just like fucking nobody wanted to be his friend. It was like he was just like bouncing back and forth between different like ideological scenes, you know, to try to find his place, and just got rejected everywhere. And I don't know. I think it really came. I really think it just came down to him needing to see a therapist. You know, like, did you ever go to therapy? I don't know. Maybe got to start there. Yeah, he just had lots of problems. And I didn't know him super well, but you know, he used to train at the same gym as me for a while. Super left, like progressive, you know, woke kind of style. And then he got fucking canceled as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing about human rights. It's sort of like for the left, it feels very binary.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel in that way it's hard to form a community around a binary with like human people, because there's nothing binary about the human experience and people's views on human rights.
Yeah.
And you say the wrong thing and it's like you're gone. But like at the end of the day, the point of a right and a left is the future.
Mm-hmm.
Not individual people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, yeah, the binary system of being like a human rights activist or a human rights advocate, I should mean. Not everyone's like actively
right, fighting this,
supporting the foundations in every way they maybe possibly can. It's just like being an advocate. It's I don't know. You know, I think it's hard to be like very liberal today, but I feel like there should be a little bit more liberalism, because there's no possible way that like there is a specific right answer. But like you're condemning people and you're like rejecting them on the basis of they have a different lead up to the same answer, or like an argument against that specific direction. And then there's like infighting, and then there's like, I'm starting to see more sides I agree with from the right, even though I might not be Christian, even though I might be like even though I might not be like pro-life, even though I'm starting to see that like my opinion matters and I could still talk to people about my opinion. And it's not I'm a bad person or I'm not advocating for human rights because I reject a specific kind of concept. But yeah, I used to feel that way I used to be like really capitalist.
Yeah.
I'm more of a socialist sort of guy, but I used to be capitalist because I feel like because of the argumentation aspect of it, that the majority wouldn't rule over minority voices, because minority voices are so important. Like you described the concept of these things not being seen in the light of day, like in the news, like the corruption not being seen in the news.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's also these minority communities that see the sort of legacy nature of America, the bootstrap sort of fallacy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like people in America have always inherited power, and it's like there's certain groups that can't move past inherited legacy
Mm-hmm.
movements
Yeah.
that are meant to keep them down.
Yeah,
And it's
like
very
upward
difficult to surpass that. And
mobility is mostly like an upper class
yeah,
sort of like phenomenon. Yeah.
yeah, and like the relationships you described, everyone's a friend of a friend, and
Mm-hmm.
to them it is binary. You either support the group or you don't.
Yeah, and you can afford to go to a really expensive art school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to break your parents' bank to go to CalArts, you know, for the most part, because CalArts doesn't give scholarships, you know. So
Yeah.
who you know, it's like you're rich enough to be able to afford to make really like friends who are probably going to be the future of an industry. So it is like yeah, it's just the game is stacked, you know, a little bit.
And that doesn't mean they're not talented.
For sure.
That head start is an incredible head start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's difficult to move past.
Yeah. For sure. And you know, but yes, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, so it's a terrible system. Yeah, for sure. It's a bad setup. Why is Jesus 2 deleted? What, from YouTube? Jesus 2 is currently under exclusive contract with Animation Plus for the next couple months. If you want to catch it, it's streaming on there.
If you missed network
channel.
TV,
yeah. If you've got Roku, you might be able to catch it if it happens to be airing that day currently. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the left I think the left actually is like starting to get its agenda together. And like I think even dude, I'm not yeah, it's interesting how we end up talking about politics on my stream all the time, because I really hate politics, but
it's in everything. It's like the way to move forward.
But I will say that I think, you know, from the little I follow, like someone like Mamdani or whatever, like I think his approach to like socialist ideas is like, hey, we're going to make cheap grocery stores. We're going to subsidize cheap grocery stores. Hey, we're going to fix the streets. Hey, we're going to like tax the ultra rich to like pay for childcare programs. It's like, I'm like, yeah, that fucking makes sense, you know? And then he's like pushing these like really pragmatic, achievable goals, you know, in public, like on the internet, like on his own web, you know, like I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel just to see what his announcements he makes or whatever, you know? And I'm just like, oh yeah, like fucking everybody, most people can kind of get on board with this. It's not abstract. And he's actually like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's the strategy. Fucking real world shit that like people need. Let's like address that stuff. And that.
Yeah, and it's not so elevated that the majority is so loud.
Like
you
if
can
you've
go
got
to like individual,
if you're poor, if you're like struggling with money, and you have kids, and then all of a sudden there's a childcare place that's like free. you're like, oh, but my government is working for me, you know? I don't know. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, he's the poster child of the left currently, you know? So I think that's like a good, he's whoever is his advisor or whatever strategy they came up with, it seems to be like, okay, this, if everybody on the left takes a page out of his book, we're going to be in a good position, I think.
Yeah. It'd definitely be really sick. I just get afraid for like a nationwide socialist movement because of the current state of like the psychology of America. It just wouldn't feel safe.
I don't know. I think people are like, by the end of Trump's term, people will be like way more open to like things like universal health care and stuff like that. I think. I mean, this shit is going to go. We're just going to be going further and further down the toilet for the next 3 years until people are like, might not even like have a choice, but to be like, let's socialize healthcare. You know.
Yeah.
Like shit's gonna be really dire. Like I think in the next, like, you know, whatever politics and whatever social politics and all that kind of stuff aside, like all the stuff that sort of makes us annoyed at each other, people are just going to be like, I need to pay my medical bills. I need to be able to like afford to go to the doctor. Because my foot is exploding or whatever, you know, I mean, or whatever. I've got fucking diabetes or whatever, you know. Yeah.
2030 is 2027 and 2030 through 2030 is going to be really tough.
Yeah, I think Mandani is walking the tightrope really well as far as like just avoiding all the sort of like most of the sort of like language that the whatever moderate liberal Democrats have been sort of like trading in that sort of language for the past couple of years, and it hasn't like impacted. I mean, even during like the Biden years, like I'm not sure what he did that, you know, I would listen to I'd be listening to like Money Talk on NPR, like, just like listening to NPR while driving my car because I forgot my phone or whatever. And then they'd be talking about how the economy was like getting better and the GDP was like good and stuff. I'm like, this shit is falling apart. Like, what? You guys are straight up gaslighting me. Yeah, I don't know.
During Biden's advent?
Yeah, during Biden. Yeah, it's just like watching the wheels fall off the train, you know? And because it was all this like sort of like corporate Democrat shit, you know? Like the people at the top, yeah, doing well, people running the companies doing well. Everyone else is just like, why does it seem like life is getting harder? I don't know. Yeah. And then, you know, and now the wheels have just like totally come off. So, you know, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I think the world is like, I think right and left is going to be more open to like more sort of like socialist ideas, like in the next 3 years.
I think the right is like are getting pretty socialist.
Yeah, in their own kind of way. I mean, like in their own way. I mean, if we come at it from different sides and the results are the same, then I don't care, you know. Like I don't care how you come to your conclusions as long as like we figure out a way to like run a country better.
Yeah.
As long, you know, whatever, you know, 3 years gas prices will be like $10 or whatever, you know, and then nobody can even drive to work. We'll have to figure something out.
On a different note,
Yeah.
I'm super excited for VR technology and gaming, and I'm so excited for gaming.
In VR?
Yeah,
Why? What's happening in VR?
I don't know. I feel like the vibes for went really down for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like we're finally gonna get like a Sword Art Online or something in at least the next 20 years where I could just like completely escape real life.
Yeah, like
Hopefully it's
what's
huh?
that book?
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One style?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Actually, I hope that our future doesn't look like that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think it'd be really fun to like walk through worlds I created, like actually
Yeah.
walk with like a treadmill and goggles. The AR stuff is so funny. Just people recording other people with glasses.
Mm-hmm.
That's so fucked up.
I haven't. I made a VR video game for Cartoon Network probably 6 years ago or something. I forget when this was. Everything for me is 6 years ago at this point. I've like completely lost track of time. But I did. So I was doing VR like 8 hours a day for a couple months, for like 5 months or something.
Mm.
And
No motion sickness.
no, because I was just like making 3D sculptures and stuff. So it would just be kind of, I had my unit that I was in, my little cubicle, and I'd just be like walking around my like creatures I was making and spinning them, moving them around, and just being like, no, you know, I'll give them some toes or whatever, you know. And I found it to be very like, I kind of really got used to it, and I was like, I thought it was pretty fun to hang out in VR for that long and totally lose my sense of reality or whatever, you know, whatever this reality.
Yeah.
But I've never since then. I don't own any VR stuff. Like I don't, you know. And I have some friends who love to hang out in Gary's Mod, I think it's called.
Yeah.
They hang out in Gary's Mod. My friend Jenna hangs out in Gary's Mod, or Penn. I think Penn used to hang out in Gary's Mod. I don't know if he still does or not. And then my friend Jenna was hanging out in these like VR deaf communities where they have VR specific sign language that they do. Because you know your articulation is limited in VR, so there's like a whole new deaf sign language in VR. And I thought that was like pretty interesting. You've got
Did
a
you see the
thousand hours in
Disney
Gary's Mod.
sign language movie stuff?
Disney sign language movies? No, I don't know what that is.
So they released I think Moana and what was that other movie? It was We Don't Talk It. That's that song where We Don't Talk About Bruno. I mean that movie where We Don't Talk About Bruno, that song came from. They did both of those in
I don't know. Frozen?
sign language. Huh?
Frozen?
No, it was I actually haven't watched it, but they did like the point was they did a two musical movies in sign language.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, but like there's also like what was the point? Because it's a musical movie for people that are deaf.
Yeah, but they can understand. They can understand
language.
rhyme schemes in sign language. So it's like listening to, like reading a poem or something.
Oh, so it would like change the acting. The acting would
Yeah.
change. Oh, I never
Yeah.
really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting. They redid like both of those movies, like they had I'm pretty sure they didn't use AI, but they got like sign language actors to do that sort of stuff.
Animated?
Yeah, they reanimated
Oh.
without, and the characters have like closed mouths, so they're
Whoa.
just signing the musicals.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know how big of an I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Well, yeah, I would be if I had a VR setup. I definitely would check out Gary's mod and try to hang out and check that out. But I don't have one, and I don't think I really plan on getting a setup anytime soon. I haven't. I don't have the enthusiasm personally, but I think VR is kind of cool. Like, I liked designing for a VR world. I enjoyed that job. It was pretty fun. But also, I liked the people I was working with. They were all like kind of buddies, so it was kind of cool just to do that weird project for like 5 months.
Have you ever gone on VR chat?
No.
I think the community is on there so interesting as well, and how they communicate, because they have this thing called originally it was meant for war, but like people who lost their limbs, I think it's like a phantom sense.
Yeah.
And so like so they have like sex in VR, and they don't like being touched in VR, and it's the human mind is such a beautiful and weird and interesting thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the virtual sex part of VR. I forgot that's
yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah, like in the furry models, or like $3,000 furry models.
Oh fuck! You know,
so sick. There's so much money in furry art.
I know my friend Andy, who is he's a character. I mean, he's an art director. He told me he makes $3,000 a month doing for furry art for people's like furry request art. He draws their like OCs or whatever, you know. And he was like, you should do that, because we were talking about how neither of us have had jobs for a while, but he's making like $3,000 a month doing furry art. And but I think you have to be into it to really do like real, like to if I was to start doing custom furry art for people, they would know I wasn't my heart wasn't in it, you know. Even though I drew this bunny guy. I mean, that's sort of furry art. I don't know, but it just doesn't look right. It's not the same. It's not like look, I drew this cat guy, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's like you're not a real gooner.
But it's not in the style that they want, you know. There's like a specific aesthetic usually that's sort of like Disney influenced, slightly Disney influenced, slightly like anime influenced, and I just don't have the skill set to really do convincing furry art.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I could. I think it'd just be like it'd be a little too funny for me. It's not like a shameful thing to be like furry. It's just like I don't really understand. Yeah, like I wouldn't understand the intricacies of a furry bust or hand size and how that impacts.
Yeah, it's a whole like inside culture kind of. You know what I mean? There's like there's a shorthand.
It's cool in that way.
It's like being into NASCAR or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you were growing up in that time. I feel like you should maybe know more about it than me.
About furry stuff?
Huh?
About furry stuff?
Yeah, like that was like
That's my age.
that
I
was like
thought those.
2000s, like
Yeah.
kids howling at the moon and
I
on the
think that
news and
was when
stuff, right?
people were still that was a part where it was like still kind of new and people were like making news stories about reporting on it on the news and stuff, being like, there's a new thing happening or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's bigger than ever currently.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people in my high school class with
Mm-hmm.
like tails and
Yeah.
high school during the during the 20s or early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna enjoy saying the 20s from now on.
Yeah.
During the 20s was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about devious licks a lot, but they were like kids on leashes. They were like it was epic.
Oh, like kids like with each other on leashes or whatever.
Yeah, they had like there were like couples putting collars on each other and like
Uh-huh.
leashes. It was in like a this is so fucked up.
Did
But
te-
in middle school there
did
was like
teachers feel kind of weird about that, or
honestly, yeah, I mean they definitely had
yeah.
rules against it.
Yeah.
But we had like slime and
Oh
we
yeah,
had the
slime was big.
yeah.
Yeah. Is slime over, or like people over slime?
No, but I think it's become less of its own thing. It's become an ASMR thing.
Yeah.
We had that, and we also had fidget spinners were big during middle school. People would drop like hundreds of dollars on that to like show off.
Yeah.
And we also had Andy's home,
What's that?
and basically in Toy Story,
Mm-hmm.
when when Andy would come home and the toys had to like go limp,
Mm-hmm.
basically in 2016 2017 I think,
Mm-hmm.
uh, at a certain time like at 11:11 or something,
Mm-hmm.
everyone in school would go limp on their chairs and like
Oh.
fall out of them. Like in the middle of class in the cafeteria, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And we also had that like that Black Beatles thing, the Sway Lee Black Beatles thing, where
Uh-huh.
everyone would just like freeze in time.
Uh-huh.
And then we had Musically and Jacob Sartorius,
I don't know what that
which
is.
was yeah, that's like it was like a teenage heartthrob for like middle schoolers.
Okay.
It was like Musically was after Vine. It was
Okay.
basically what TikTok was, but
Yeah.
more similar to Vine, just because of what the culture was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had oh yeah, the worst part was vapes.
Yeah.
Did they not have vapes in the 2000s? Like were there's
No.
not? I know they had them, but like they weren't as popular.
I
There were
didn't
kids in middle
really see vapes until like 20 what? Like 2012 or something?
Yeah, around then, when the millennial hipster cardigan.
Yeah, I just knew my friend, my like jujitsu buddy was always vaping. That was like the first time I really saw it. Like 10 years, 10 or 11 years ago. It's the first time I really noticed vaping.
I think vaping is like literally the worst. In middle school,
Yeah.
there were kids who would buy up vapes and like sell them in school
Uh-huh.
for like $25 in middle school. So like
Yeah.
it was 11 to 13-year-olds, which I know back in your day they probably smoked cigarettes, but
I remember thinking, yeah, they smoked cigarettes. I remember thinking there was a kid I would watch on Vine who was probably like 10, and he would be ripping huge vape clouds, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever, and that was like his Vine shtick. It was like, hey, check it out. Somehow I got a hold of vapes, and I'm just gonna film myself ripping huge vape clouds.
No.
And I remember thinking that was like very funny, but yeah, but also fucked up. But yeah, anyway.
No, but it's so fucked because it was like, and that was like, this is the real world. Like,
yeah,
I had to be the. Now, I'm not condoning this.
mm-hmm.
At times, there were kids,
Mm-hmm.
even me. At one time, I only did it one time, where I was the intermediary
Mm-hmm.
between a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I was not selling drugs. A buyer
Mm-hmm.
and a seller. You know,
Yeah,
there was cotton candy. There was all these interesting flavors. Even now,
yeah,
there were like memes about vapes literally being advertised as for kids because of all
right.
the tasty flavors.
Yeah, that's why they made that. They made that illegal for a while, right?
Yeah. What a funny time.
Yeah. Yeah, I never vaped or smoked, so I don't know. I missed out on that whole thing.
Me either. I'm
Um,
glad the smoking culture of like just ripping one in the bathroom
mhm.
or the restroom is still sort of there. I see on Instagram just like people in high school going into the bathroom and like hiding from the teachers and ripping like
Yeah.
every flavor they can, fog up the bathroom.
Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, it was like smoking with through a toilet paper roll with a filter or whatever, you know?
Like a
do that.
silencer?
Yeah, it's like basically a silencer for the smell of weed or tobacco.
Sick. I saw kids like ripping one and then like blowing it into their shirt.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then in my high school, it was like cough syrup. Like kids were fucking like
Lean?
it was like pre-lean. It was just like pounding cough syrup. Like I wasn't into it, but I had friends who were not close friends because I was like a straight edge kid in high school, but I had friends, kids who were like super into drugs, and they were just doing whatever they could, and part of that was like getting fucked up on cough syrup. Yeah, it's just like sort of like whatever you could do.
Huffing was also.
Oh,
there,
they were
right?
huffing glue too. Yeah, yeah, that was happening. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I didn't have friends in high school who were doing like hard shit like heroin or anything like that. I had some roommates after high school who were like doing heroin, but yeah, that was like weird. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Was hanging out with
I'm always in awe
squatter
of stuff
punks.
like that.
Yeah, I was always like, this is like the most other. Like they were sort of secret about it, so it wasn't like It wasn't like glamorous, you know. It just seemed like a really bad, nasty habit, you know. I'm just like, this isn't like benefiting your life in any. Like you aren't more cool because you're doing heroin. You actually like are kind of gross, you know. Yeah.
I know it's not really funny, but it's just like it's like wow. Like the concept of drugs and like escaping the human experience. I'm very fortunate to like not have to like not feel like I had to escape my experience as a high schooler. I feel like the 26 or not 2016, even with COVID, actually COVID was really rough for me.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be the best time to do drugs actually, because if your parents were necessary workers,
Mhm.
like the people, the doctors,
Yeah.
the mailman, that sort of thing, you could
Yeah.
just like spend all day, I don't know, doing drugs.
Mhm.
That'd be like the enlightenment period,
Mhm.
because you just be alone and like doing hookah or
I'm
whatever, and
actually
just like getting away
surprised
with it.
I wasn't like I didn't get into getting high more during the pandemic. I like didn't do any drugs during the pandemic. I just fucking ate food. I guess that was my drug. I would just order DoorDash.
Oh yeah, me too. I gained like 60 pounds.
Dude, yeah, I gained like 30 pounds during the pandemic. It's crazy. I'm trying to still shed the fucking weight I gained during the pandemic.
No, like, because after the pandemic, when I was just going, because my entire half of my freshman year and my entire sophomore year,
Yeah.
I just didn't get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like after, my mom in a way
Mm-hmm.
called me a fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went on a purge, and basically I fasted
Yeah.
every other day, and if I wasn't, I'd eat one meal.
Uh-huh.
And like in my definition of fasting, that'd mean I wouldn't eat for 2 days. Like I'd
Yeah.
only drink water,
Yeah.
which is like sort of insane for a
Yeah.
developing kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd do that, and I'd only eat one meal.
Uh-huh.
Granted, I got really shredded because
Yeah.
I'd also run every day, but I'd run on the treadmill for like an hour every other day.
Wait, this was during the pandemic?
No, it was after. It
Oh,
was
it was
like I
after.
felt so bad about like I really, even now I still like sort of hate myself in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't feel worth
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
In my entire, the way I even approach art is from a lens of, I'm worthless, so I have to like keep
Mm-hmm.
involving myself in other people's projects, because I also feel like with all the resources I have available, that
Mm-hmm.
there's some like artists that live in like poverty, specifically maybe because of COVID or
Mm-hmm.
because of the past administration
Mm-hmm.
and like 2016, but like that couldn't afford specific materials to like achieve their vision. And I felt like me as a high schooler, and this is sort of like parasitic in a way,
Mm-hmm.
where I had the tools and I had the early, I had the head start.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to do a callback, I had the head start that these maybe other people didn't,
Mm-hmm.
because of my parents' support and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where like my worth would be in helping this poor soul who didn't have what they needed in order to achieve. And this was like indie boom too. This was what like after Frederator's attempt with like Go Cartoons and like
Mm-hmm.
that, and that was, for some reason, that was like really inspiring
Mm.
for a lot of the people that are doing stuff now,
Yeah.
because that was like Joni Phillips,
Oh
or
yeah, Johnny
no,
Phillips.
sorry, Johnny Peppers,
Right.
and my friend Gabe, and like a bunch of other people,
Mm-hmm.
and like Vivzy Pop was also still really big with Haspin,
Mm-hmm.
and just like a lot of stuff, a lot of indie stuff was going on, but
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people didn't have the resources, maybe because of COVID and like
Mm-hmm.
ordering, and or maybe because of a lot of other stuff. And in a parasitic way, I felt like I could be worth something. I could attach my worth to this new indie boom and
Mm-hmm.
be like and fill a need. And I didn't. I even now, even for my work now, even if some people might consider it good or worth paying for,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I attach that, I'd be even more of a parasite of like and so I'm just like a weird about payment too.
Mm.
because my parents take care of me as well, and
Yeah.
that's another way I'm fortunate like it.
Yeah.
And so it just, yeah, I just feel like a parasite all the time,
Mm.
and that especially went up during COVID.
Well, I don't think you should feel like a parasite. Just my armchair. You know what I mean? And also, don't ever. I think it's bad to worry about fret about getting paid, and you shouldn't feel guilty about getting paid. I think. Um, yeah. Until there's like whatever universal basic income for everybody, and we're all like taken care of or whatever. Everybody needs to get paid. On some even you know what I mean, and you know I get weird about asking for money too, and yeah, but when I remember when I was working a dishwashing job when I was like 19 or something, and I was working at this Italian restaurant called Da Vinci's, and the guy who owned the restaurant, I remember I hadn't gotten paid or whatever in a while, and I went up to his office. I was like, "Hey man, like, I don't want to ask about money or whatever." And he was like, "Never be afraid to ask about money." And even though I didn't like that guy, I was always like, "Okay, that's probably a good." You know what I mean? It's probably not bad.
Yeah.
Thing to be like, don't be afraid to ask about getting paid what you're worth. You know. And it is like a little bit of like you don't want to come across as being arrogant and all this kind of stuff, but I think sometimes being too self-conscious can kind of get in the way of, because I think people want to pay people for their, no, well, that's not totally true, but like but I think it is like, in a fair world, it's respect to pay someone what they're worth. It's like, it's a sign of, you know, so if you give money to someone who's in need or whatever, you know, or even if it's not monetarily, even if it's not money, you go to someone who you admire and you get to tell them, you say, "Hey, I really love your work. It really meant a lot to me." That actually, the act of saying that to someone else is more meaningful to the person saying it than to the person receiving it, in my opinion. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
So in paying someone for their talent or their work, it is like a ritual, like an offering of saying, "I think you're good." Does that make sense? And so
Yeah.
it goes beyond just being like a material thing. It's actually like a ritual of saying to someone, you're in exchange for your talent, I have to give you something in return, or else it's not fair. You know what I mean? So I think it's a hard thing to come to terms with. I have a hard time with it too. I have a hard time asking for money, and I have a hard time when I get hired on a job. I always lowball myself, you know, and I have to do this like inner talk. I have to be like, don't ask for actually what, you know what I mean? Like, don't just like, because I feel guilty asking for too much money. I worry about, oh, what's their budget and all this kind of stuff, you know? And I have to, like, I'm on a commercial job right now that I lowballed myself, you know? And, but I was also worried that if I didn't agree to the price, that I wouldn't get hired, you know? So there's stuff like that, you know? But yeah, I think it's a lifelong challenge for some people to be able to ask monetarily what they're worth, you know. And I struggle with that too, but I just have an inner voice where I'm like, don't be afraid to ask. It's the guy, the manager, the owner of Da Vinci's Italian restaurant, telling me, don't be afraid to ask about money. Basically, from when I was like 19. Just, he's in my head trying to remind me to not be ashamed to ask for what I'm worth, basically. Yeah. And I don't always succeed at it, but yeah.
I've seen the other side of this where there's some like indie up and coming indie artists that are like, dude, these old heads like kind of suck. They ask so much, and
Yeah.
because like they look at like um asking an older artist is like sort of like an apprentice in a apprenticeship
Hmm.
in a way, and so like them having to pay like so much money in order to get this like very accomplished artist in order to
Hmm.
like learn their ways and like have that older artist offer something to their project.
Hmm.
I feel like it is worth that is yeah, that should be maybe actually I don't know. I don't know. Is apprenticeship culture like still a big thing? At least in America. I know in Europe it's a big thing
I
because of
don't.
how they
I haven't really seen it.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
and so people who want to learn from like these older artists,
Yeah.
the older artists only do it for like a high certain amount.
Well,
And so like
I've
these
been doing mentorships. Like I'm mentoring 3 people right now.
mm,
Um, just because their schools reached out to me. Well, one was a school in Germany reached out to me if I would mentor one of their students. And then there's a program in LA called Silver Lake Shorts, or it's like a festival, but they're starting to give out grants to animators and to make short films. And so they asked me if I would mentor these 2 kids who had gotten the grant. So I've been mentoring them to help them make a short. So I'm helping 3 people right now uh, make short films.
that's sick.
So I'm doing stuff like that, and I tried actually a couple of years. I tried a couple of years ago mentoring a kid. I mentored a kid for like a year, trying to help him make a short film. And that was like my own mentorship program I was trying to start, but it didn't. He never finished his film, and so I kind of got discouraged, and I stopped doing it. And then, but then the school reached out to me, and then Silver Lake Shorts reached out to me. So I was like, I'll try again. I'll try to do I feel like I should do something like that. So I've been mentoring these 3 kids like once a week, just for like an hour or two.
Yeah.
So I actually do like doing that. So I have in my mind like at some point making it having like an official mentorship program, maybe like teaming up with one other person who could fill in some of my like gaps of knowledge, but I don't know what, like I even wanted to do, I have a dream of like having a residency program and stuff like that for cartoonists, but I don't have the space.
Yeah.
I don't have the space for it.
We need artist studios back
Yeah.
like everywhere outside of LA, outside of New York,
Yeah.
like in the countryside, like how they did what was that? I think it's the Bussiere
Mm-hmm.
or like the what was that artist movement? It's like that or no, it might have been the Corbusier or something else. There were like artist movements in like the early 1900s
Mm-hmm.
where like European artists would come in and or go to the States and like go to the countryside. You or it might have been early 1800s or late 1800s. The concept was they bring you European artists
Mm-hmm.
and like into these like very contemporary, they'd have like contemporary sort of schools, and like in these schools artists would come and learn maybe architecture or
Mm-hmm.
sort of like become like a renaissance sort of people or
Mm-hmm.
students, men, women, and I just feel like we need that back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should do more research, and like this is like a really big thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's only art universities. There's no specific there's no auteur sort of school, like a specific school where a specific auteur has a 4-year
Yeah.
program where students learn at, or 2-year,
I mean, it's such a
whatever.
big. I mean, my friend, my old comics friend had a residency in Pittsburgh. Frank Santoro. I don't know if I haven't talked to him in years, so I don't know if he's still running that program. But it was like he had a house that people would come live in for a few months, and then he would give lectures and stuff like that, and they would just be working on their projects. I think they would come with a project in mind to finish, and then he would just be around to help and stuff. So that was cool. I don't know if he's still doing that. It seemed like a lot of commitment, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, artists are trying to do that with like the online.
Yeah, there's a lot of
stuff,
online stuff, like online courses and things.
I feel like there's a specific thing to being in a specific place and learning
Yeah.
painting, architecture, all this other stuff that you could help you in your art from a specific person that like all around
Yeah.
is that.
Yeah.
In like the woods of Washington or something.
Yeah, no, I think you know, I even like I've been talking to some LA animator people about starting like a studio or whatever, like a new studio space to just hang out, like just people you think are cool hanging out kind of thing. But oh wait, but then he moved to New York. Never mind. That's not happening now. We were talking about it. Yeah. I've like lived in, I mean, I've had studio spaces in like collective studio places in LA before, and it was really cool because you're around creative people and stuff. But I just couldn't afford to keep paying rent there. It was like $450 a month, and I just like couldn't afford it.
Yeah, that is the thing about what I was talking about. I think the government or the specific state funded those programs where they brought in European artists.
Yeah,
and then built them a school. But yeah, I think those definitely need to come back. I want more movements. I feel like there's a lot.
Well, where are you located?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. Like,
so there's like an Austin sort of movement, but
yeah.
And then my dad's in Nashville, so there's a movement there.
Yeah.
But it's more sort of like music.
Yeah.
Country music stuff.
I don't know. You can always like, dude, I had a friend back in the day who lived in Erie, Pennsylvania. And if you don't know what Erie is like, it's fucked. It's like it's fucked. It's like cultural suicide, just fucking nothing, you know? And he was like a avant-garde musician, like improvisational, like at the time, just like playing like lots of like acoustic loops and stuff like that, just like building up huge sound spaces and stuff. And he just made a music scene in Erie. He just like willed it to exist, you know? And we would go play shows in Erie because he was there, you know? And because he just like, because there was nothing happening, him just deciding I'm going to start putting on crazy weird shows and booking bands from out of town and stuff, that the kids there were just like, oh, like something cool is happening, you know? And then then all of a sudden there's like culture, there's like interesting art happening all of a sudden. So it really takes like one or two people to like transform a city's art scene.
Yeah,
to get everybody
I mean,
excited. Because I think people want it. They just need someone to like jumpstart it.
yeah,
If you're in a small town where nothing's happening, you can make something happen pretty quick. Yeah.
yeah. That was like the process of like black exploitation and movies like that. Like, oh, so like as a person from like as a black person from like a city overrun with like heroin or whatever,
Yeah.
like, and this director is filming in my town to give more life to their film,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'd bring like the black children or whatever, or even the adults over and show them how like the film works and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like those people would grow up to be directors or actors, and like,
Yeah.
and so now we're seeing more of the fruits of that, and like the Spike Lees or the yeah,
like
and Ryan Coogler's.
Dolomite.
Yeah.
I love Dolomite.
And the films were so weirdly shot, like 60 like independent films
Mm-hmm.
are shot so like without like a stand or like anything, just like moving. they're shot like they're shot like home movies, and I find that so interesting.
Yeah. Well, man, I mean, yeah, all you gotta do is find a crew of artists who want to hang out in a warehouse together, basically,
Yeah.
and draw, set up desks and draw and make cartoons and stuff. It's not too hard to find. Yeah, but anyway, I think I need to drink water. So I'm gonna I think I'm done drawing. I've been going for 3.5 hours. But good hanging and talking to you, Kado.
Yeah, good
And
hanging.
good luck with your school. Hang in there. And you know, there's a scene to be IRL scene to be had. I still think people still want that. I think it's more novel than ever if it happens, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's not too hard to make happen. So
yeah, I mean there are even Gooner conventions.
Gooner, yeah, I mean Gooner, yeah, they found each other. So if
It's a beautiful thing.
if the Gooners can find each other, the aspiring Blender animators and comic artists can also find each other IRL as well. All right, man. I'll see you later. Talk to you later, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.